I'm a leader of politics or companies, or I've done all this good for the world. I need to be adored for what I've done. You need to be spat on for what you have done. It's been so hard to find the energy to make this video, but I guess I've procrastinated long enough now, and I just feel the need I've got to get out there and just talk about this subject, which is so much in my mind, and I just can't get rid of it. I'm talking about the situation with a particular dump of files that have been released over in America. Anyone watching this probably knows the dump of files that I'm talking about. I'm just at a loss to know how to start this, but I'll try and get my thoughts across anyway. I've seen so many videos and so many records of emails that have come out of that tranche of documents that have been released to the public, and it just horrifies me. I can't just get it out of my mind, and the thing that is so deeply entrenched in my mind is the children, the young girls and young boys, I imagine, and the babies. And I just cannot understand why nothing seems to be getting done about it. At least I can see over in other countries, in the UK, it's having an effect on people that have been mentioned and photographed in those files. It's affecting political careers, lifestyles of people that have, royal family, etc. But it doesn't seem to be getting home to the American people that somebody needs to be held accountable for what's happened to all these children. Now, I understand that from what I'm looking at is that the people who are actually in a position to do something about it seem to be the people who are donkey deep in those atrocities themselves. And it just horrifies me. It just horrifies me to think that that's the case. I try to work through in my mind what I think should be happening. Now, my opinion probably means squat. I'm a 75-year-old mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, not living in the States, and probably thinking, oh, what's your business anyway? I'm a human being. I'm a woman. I've had children. I know what women go through having children. I know the pain, the satisfaction of having a child at the end of it that you can give all your love and attention, and to see that child grow up to become a responsible adult. These children were never given that opportunity. They were never given the chance. The babies, I hear horrific stories about babies and about children, girls, boys, 9, 10 years old, up to 13, 14, 15. It doesn't seem to stop. Yeah. I think what I see should be happening, in my opinion, is there's been certain activities that have been reported by victims of unalived children being deposited into the ground in certain places in America, in farms, properties, golf courses, all sorts of things. Now, what I would like to see is, I would like to see just a couple of those places picked out and see them crawling with diggers, bulldozers, cadaver dogs, excavating machinery, and just going through just to see. I'm not saying identify everything at the moment, just start off small. Surely some of those victims must have an idea of where they were located and at what place they can remember this happening. And I believe that if there was a piece of land identified where somebody found a nugget of gold, or they thought somebody had buried some treasure, some jewellery and some gold on a property, that place would be crawling with people trying to find that treasure. Townships would probably spring up to house all the people that are gold hunting, treasure hunting. You wouldn't be able to keep people off the land. They'd be digging, they'd be doing anything they could. But for unalive children, nothing. Nothing at all. And you think, well, not going to get rich with a whole lot of unalive children's bodies, are we? But at least people can be held accountable for such horrible, horrible things that went on. I've just seen so many videos of young girls, heard videos of crying, screaming children. And what's happening? What do we see happening? Crickets. Nothing. A lot of people are standing up and saying they're outraged by what's happening and something should be done. But what do you do? What do you do? Why hasn't there been a task force set up? Why isn't there some people who are able and have the responsibility that are not involved in this and are not too scared to set up a task force to start really investigating all these claims, all these victims' claims, start investigating properties? Because they're unalive children, it's almost like, oh, who cares? Well, quite frankly, I care. I care very deeply for children that I don't know, that I've never known, I will never know. But they are still children, and children should not have to go through and suffer what these children have done. I just wonder, you know, where are all the people? Where are all the people that are in that position? Why hasn't somebody started to systematically break down all the accusations and try to set up a case to bring the guilty people to account? Now, I understand that when you have this rich elite who seem to have all the power, nothing happens unless they say so. And when they're so deeply into it themselves, why would it ever want to happen? In my whole life of 75 years, I can say that I have never, ever seen such an ongoing, horrific situation that's getting no action whatever from law enforcement, the legal system, the courts, nothing. I hear so many people jumping up and down saying, something's got to happen, it has to happen, something. What's going to do? Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to be held accountable? Where are the people that have got the power and the ability to do something about this? There must be some people who are not tied up in this horrible web of deceit and debauchery and unaliving and words that you're not even allowed to say, because otherwise the algorithm will get hold of it and nobody will see the video. Nobody will probably see this video anyway, but I've got to make it because it's been churning away at me for the last couple of weeks, and I haven't been able to make any other videos because there's not anything that I can think of that is positive to talk about at the moment. I'm just horrified for these children, and I wonder, is it still going on? Where is it still happening? Who is still involved in it? The person who was supposedly the ringleader and had the file named after him, there's so much more evidence coming out now that he's still alive. Okay, why isn't there some huge search on to find him? How many people have I seen that have unalived themselves? At the time I thought, oh, that's sad. And now I'm finding out that they've been somehow involved in uncovering this horrible thing that has been going on for 20 or 30 years. They've decided they had information, they were going to start releasing it, and suddenly, car accident, drownings, all sorts of stuff. And we're supposed to believe that it just happens. There's nothing to see here. I've been thinking about what I would like to see happen. This is probably going to bring the roof down because everybody would say, it's intruding on our privacy. I would like to see every child that is born and also a record set up, a worldwide database of DNA, so that every child that's born, that DNA goes into the database. And if that had been the case and they started digging up unalived bodies and checking DNAs, they'd be able to find out maybe who some of these children were. But the downside of that, of course, is with all this modern technology, people are being touted for being able to do all these wonderful things with technology now. You can track somebody by their social media. You can check their tax records, medical records. You can track their location now. So what's wrong? Nobody's got their own privacy now. Why not set up a database of DNA and have it independent from all the historical DNA checks for people looking for relatives and all this? This is a separate DNA that's organised on a worldwide basis. But of course, where do you find somebody, especially the tech bros, that would be able to organise this sort of database and could be trusted to record it, to safeguard the information, to store it, and not take advantage of that information? Seeing that so many tech bros, these wealthy people that have got all these tech computer companies and they do AI and all this sort of stuff, how many of their names have you seen listed in these files that have come out? So who on earth in the world can you get to trust to keep a database like that isn't going to be, in one way or another, impacted by dishonest people? I really don't have an answer to this problem. I wish I did. I'm just another person that's got a voice that can air her opinions, but I've got no influence at all to have it make a difference or to have anything happen. But by God, there's got to be some people in the world that have got that influence, that have got that power, that are going to say, no, enough is enough. We've got to get to the bottom of this. I think, to me, this is sort of like, it's worse than the Holocaust. Because once that was found out, it was investigated, the people were held to account, and they suffered for their actions. With this, people are getting away with it. As I say, getting away with murder. Who's ever going to be held to account? Are those children ever going to get some sort of remembrance of them being children, human beings, babies? Or are they just going to have come onto this earth and just disappeared like a leaf on a tree? Disappears into the ground, never to be seen again. I just wish somebody would come up with some sort of positive action where all of us that have got a conscience could get behind them and just say, yes, it's about time something happened. Instead of this ongoing people outraged, like me, outraged, getting on YouTube, anywhere, airing their opinions, voicing their disgust, expressing how absolutely horrified they are that other human beings could treat another human being like this. But what can we do? We're not in a position to do anything. We don't have that power other than to be entrapped by our own emotions. And that's how I feel at the moment. I can't believe that so many children are going to be just disappearing into history with no acknowledgement, nothing. And at least if there was some recorded evidence that people could look back on and say, this was a horrible thing that happened. It can't ever happen again. And for those people that have been carrying on for the last 30 years with the information, the knowledge of their own actions, of other people's actions, of what was done to those children, I am horrified. I am disgusted by you. I can't believe that such a low human being would allow this to happen decade after decade and stand up and try and spout that you are a good citizen, a Christian, whatever. I'm a leader of politics or companies, or I've done all this good for the world. I need to be adored for what I've done. You need to be spat on for what you have done. Every single one of you need to be spat on for what you have done. And I just hope that one day that karma comes back and bites you right in the ass. And that's all I can hope for. So for anybody else out there who feels the same way as I do and feels absolutely heartbroken for children, for babies, for those victims who are now older and have memories, living with the memories of what they saw, what they were forced to do, what they witnessed. I'm sorry you have to go through this. And I know none of us can actually feel your pain, but by God, I will never forget what it must have been like for you girls and you guys, ladies, men, grown-ups now. I can never forget what it must have been like. I can only imagine, and I would guess that that imagination doesn't even scratch the surface of what you've been through. So all I can say to everybody at the moment is just hug your loved ones and just hope there's an end to this and we see a lot of people get what they deserve. Thank you.